Salamat berjumpa lagi. Welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Dalton Tanonaka of Indonesia's Metro TV at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
Mabuhay! I am Cara David of GMA Network in Manila in the Philippines, and this is your monthly look at the people and places of Southeast Asia. We start here in the Philippines, where a massive storm system left a terrible trail of destruction. Typhoon Haiyan hit the central Philippines on November 8, and despite advance warning, it caused a tremendous loss of life and property. The number of people killed kept rising as emergency crews reached cut-off towns. Philippine President Benigno Aquino III visited the hardest-hit area of Tacloban, as did ASEAN Secretary General Lee Loong-min, with countries around the world offering help. ASEAN Today's Rory Ashari has more.
Humanitarian aid continued to flow into the Philippines days after the devastating typhoon roared through the central region of the country. The initial challenge was to get the emergency supplies to the 4 million people with no homes to return to and no food to eat. These victims have struggled to secure their basic necessities such as temporary house and clean water. It was a huge relief when finally the emergency supplies began arriving. Countries around the world donated money for relief operations and aid. The United States sent $20 million, the United Kingdom $16 million, and Australia $9 million. After an initial logjam because of blocked roads and washed-out bridges, victims began to get basic supplies.
We know that there will be a logistical challenge, but we will do our best to be as soon as possible in the mobilizing this relief item.
Temporary relief centers were set up for distribution, with many lining up for a simple bite to eat.
What we really need is food, safe drinking water, and then materials for us to build our houses.
As the number of dead rose to near 4,000, thoughts turned to life ahead. President Benigno Aquino encouraged citizens to help each other through this natural disaster.
Ang panawagan ko lang po, ang pagiging kalmado, pagdarasal, pakikisama, at pakikipagtulungan. Siya ang magpapabangon sa atin mula sa sakunang ito.
To prepare for the next severe weather crisis, the World Bank is providing a $500 million emergency loan for the construction of storm-resistant buildings. But authorities say the size and impact of Typhoon Haiyan was almost impossible to withstand. Rory Ashari for ASEAN Today, Ormoc, Philippines.
Many of the displaced victims have come here to Manila to be with their relatives while their home and lives are being rebuilt. Dalton?
And initial estimates are that it will cost at least $6 billion to rebuild what was lost. Now to other news of the region. Thailand and Cambodia say they welcomed the November 11 ruling in a territorial conflict over a border temple. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled that the Phra Vir Temple is Cambodian, but did not rule on the land around it. There have since been military clashes over this area. This month's ruling reaffirmed the Cambodian jurisdiction and said Thailand must withdraw troops from around the hilltop temple. Leaders of both countries pledged to now work together to assure peace. Supporters of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra say they'll try again to pass legislation that would allow the exiled leader to return home to Thailand. Following major protests, the country's Senate rejected an amnesty proposal on November 11th. Current Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra says amnesty could solve the country's long-standing political divisions. Her brother has lived abroad since 2008 to avoid serving a 2-year prison term for corruption. The bill would also have cleared former leader Abasit Wetjajiwa on criminal charges stemming from deadly riots 3 years ago that killed more than 90 people.
Russia's president paid a visit to Vietnam to expand military supplies to the ASEAN state. Vladimir Putin met with counterpart Trung Tan Sang in Hanoi on November 12th, with military and energy cooperation topping their agenda. They also discussed a free trade agreement with the Customs Union Collective of Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Russia. Putin continued on to South Korea on this Asia mission. Gay and lesbian couples staged an unofficial wedding ceremony in Hanoi, exchanging vows at a public rally and calling for same-sex marriage to be legalized. 1,000 supporters chanted "I do" on October 28th as two couples symbolically tied the knot. This marriage was purely ceremonial, as same-sex marriage is still banned in Vietnam. This is something the gay and lesbian community is fighting to change. The National Assembly discussed marriage law reforms in early November and will vote on possible changes next year.
Myanmar is preparing to host the annual Southeast Asian Games. The 27th SEA Games will be held from December 11th to the 22nd in 4 cities, including Yangon, the capital Naypyidaw, Mandalay, and Hua A total of 33 sports will field participants from 11 countries. The last time Myanmar hosted this event was 44 years ago. Myanmar just saw an international influx of visitors for the country's first ever food show. Asean Today's Robelin Purba reports on meeting the appetites of the industry.
Myan Food and Hotel 2013 was a 3-day event in the first week of November that attracted major interest. International investors looking for opportunities in processing and manufacturing, as well as in the tourism and hotel industry, came to mine the country's potential. More than 300 companies from 20 countries, including China, Singapore, the US, and Thailand, were here displaying food, beverage, and equipment.
人数这个做生意也好，做旅游也好，来了一直在生长，所以说他们也要求比较好的设备、比较好的饮料、比较有品质的饮料、品质的食品。
In the past 2 years, many industries here have ramped up to meet the intense demand. But the catering industry is still relatively undeveloped. International chain restaurants have not yet entered the market, with the majority of residents eating from street-side stalls. Analysts say the needs of upper to middle-income residents are still not being met, but knowing the territory as anywhere will be important. This event was supported by Myanmar Tourism Board. The goal is to boost the country's economy by drawing more hungry investors and international businesses to set up shop. Robelin Purba for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We talk with the leader of the world's #4 car maker. Nissan's Carlos Ghosn sees huge potential in Southeast Asia. His expansion plans next. You're watching ASEAN Today. I am Cara David in Manila.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. A recent visitor here came to unveil his latest products. Nissan's Carlos Ghosn is bullish on Indonesia's car buying potential, especially with the company's new line of low-cost green cars. He's in the hot seat.
I'm absolutely convinced that Indonesia is going to be a big car market, much bigger than what it is today, for a very simple reason. Today you have about 45 cars per 1,000 residents in Indonesia. It's still one of the lowest level of motorization in the world.
You saw Jakarta's terrible traffic problem, and probably every visit you come. If you can, give me some input and your thoughts in solving or dealing with transportation issues, especially since you're in the people-moving business.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you start by looking at the statistics, where you have 1 million cars in Indonesia sold every year, between 1 and 1.1 million. I compare to other countries, high-growth countries, like there are 18 million cars sold in China every year. There are 3.8 million cars sold in Brazil every year. There are about 3.2 million cars sold in India every year and 3.5 million in Russia. But I mean, if you say, okay, oh, maybe you have too many cars, it's not true. There is not too many cars in Indonesia. When you compare it to the size of the population, the size of the country, the wealth of the country, and the level of automation, Indonesia is low compared to the high-growth countries. So, what does it mean? It means that Indonesia needs to develop more infrastructure, obviously. And all the high-growth markets that we are seeing are dedicating a lot of resources to infrastructure, because infrastructure is the backbone of development. You know, if you don't develop infrastructure today, there is no way you're going to facilitate your development into the future. And I'm sure the government knows that, and I'm sure the government will dedicate the necessary resources. So when I look at the traffic jam, what I'm thinking is we need more infrastructure as soon as possible in Indonesia.
So that's your advice to the leaders: get on it, because
well, no, I don't need even to give. I know they know it. It's a question of priorities and you know, budget and budget allocation, and I have no doubt they will do it.
Let's talk a little bit about other Southeast Asian countries. Now, you're looking at this region as your biggest base outside of Japan. Where specifically and why? What other markets are you looking at in ASEAN?
Well, Indonesia, I would say today, is our most promising prospect in the ASEAN. But you know, we are big in Thailand. We are also have a good presence in Malaysia. I would say we have a presence in Singapore. We have presence in.
I mean, manufacturing presence.
Yeah, we have a small manufacturing presence in Malaysia. Okay. But obviously, the largest manufacturing presence will be in Thailand compared to Indonesia.
You've been there a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Myanmar? I understand you just announced recently you're going to go into Myanmar too.
Yeah, we announced that we will go to Myanmar, and we would love to be one of the first car makers to have a manufacturing capacity in Myanmar.
Because they are underserved as well.
Same thing. That means rich country, 60 million population, you know, high growth, young population, and they are opening up. So I think it's a very promising market.
So you did the deal already. You're going to start manufacturing.
Well, you're too much in advance. Huh? You're moving too fast compared to what we car manufacturers can do. No, one step after the other. Obviously, it's an important prospect for us.
Okay, so
but we didn't announce yet.
Gon says he hopes to sell 4 times more cars in Indonesia in 3 years' time. More ASEAN Today coming up.
We will check in at a floating hotel in Cambodia. But first, free schooling for scavenger children in Jakarta. This is ASEAN Today.
And we have the stories of the people and places of Southeast Asia. Here in Jakarta, like in other cities, some families make their living scavenging in rubbish dumps. But as ASEAN Today's Zakia Arfan reports, the children of scavengers are getting a special chance at school.
Sunday morning in Bantar Gebang, Bekasi, on the outskirts of Jakarta. Reza Aprianingsih is busy teaching math. But instead of the usual classroom setting, lessons are being learned inside the district's garbage dump. The Satu Untuk Semua, or One for All Foundation, provides free schooling for children of families who live as scavengers. Aprianingsih and a few other friends began this project 8 years ago.
Wadah untuk anak-anak, tempat bermain, dan juga menyalurkan aspirasi mereka. Nah, dengan kegiatan di sanggar, itu kita bisa tahu ternyata anak-anak ini dapat kekerasan. Baik itu di sekolah, di rumah, di lingkungan, ternyata ada dampak bahaya, misalnya kayak pornografi terhadap anak-anak.
The students are divided into 2 age groups, 3 to 6 years old and 6 to 9. Besides being taught traditional subjects, they learn by reading books or comics, singing and play musical instruments. But they are often reminded of just where they are.
Sebelumnya kita sangat senang belajar di sanggar ini, tapi kemudian bulan-bulan ini kita gak senang soalnya ada sampah borongan di depan sanggar kita yang membuat kita tidak nyaman. Harapannya semoga sanggar bisa sukses, bisa lebih maju, bisa lebih diperluas biar gak kesempitan.
Books and equipment are donated, with the teachers, mostly university students, volunteering their time. A total of 50 children attend each Sunday morning, a number that could easily grow with more donations of supplies and time. Zakia Arfan for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. Singapore's Home Edition Design 2014 will be held from December 7th through the 15th at the Singapore Expo Hall. Malaysia's Penang Chingai Parade 2013 is on in Georgetown on December 22nd. And in the Philippines, the Euro-Asian Travel, Trade and Cultural Expo runs for 2 days from December 10th at the SMX Convention Center in Pasay City. A refreshing destination in Cambodia allows visitors to float their nights away in tents, then trek through pristine rainforests. ASEAN Today's Krisia Alexia is our guide.
The Four Rivers Floating Lodge is located on the Tatay River in the southern part of the Cardamom Mountains. The unique operation consists of 12 huge South African safari tents erected on a string of floating platforms and anchored to the riverbed. These are not permanent structures, so if they were pulled away, there would be little sign that they ever existed.
We knew Cambodia as just Angkor Wat, Phnom Penh, and Sihanoukville, that's all. So when we saw Kokong, and this specifically Tatay, and this spot here, it has just amazed us, and we have decided then, right then and there, this was in 2007, that we would like to do something here.
The simple but upscale tents come complete with suite bathrooms and minibars. A central pontoon carries a small library and restaurant. Operators use a sophisticated water filtration system that collects and recycles used water before pumping it back into the river. Maintaining this facility in the middle of a jungle is a constant challenge.
The extreme humidity is actually challenging all the structures here. It makes everything rust. It encourages the buildup of microbes, which can eventually tear the tents. So just to maintain the condition of the tents is extremely challenging.
Many of the visitors staying at this resort take organized treks into the nearby rainforest with the help of local guides.
Me encanta este lugar, es súper ecológico, el ambiente es increíble, las tiendas son súper confortables, respetan la naturaleza, trabajan con los locales y les dan fuente de trabajo para que no destruyan la naturaleza. Camboya es un país que está creciendo y espero que siga siendo como está, con la naturaleza, la gente tan amable y todo está increíble.
Sunsets are often spectacular here at Tatay. They reflect the beauty of this fragile environment, shining light on a special destination experience. Krisia Alexia for ASEAN Today.
We appreciate hearing from you from throughout ASEAN. And joining us with this month's feedback is Nonggol Darapati of the ASEAN Secretariat. Dara, what are people saying?
Dalton, our first comment comes from Ramir in the Philippines. He posted this on the ASEAN Secretariat Facebook page. People denotes one identity. ASEAN is Asian. Yes, ASEAN was established to promote one vision, one identity, one community. Thanks for posting, Ramir. Enda had this to say on Twitter. Why should ASEAN Today be only monthly? ASEAN youth need more global news. This program could be expanded in the future, Enda. And this tweet came from Wulandari. Thanks, ASEAN Today. Such enlightenment. We appreciate that sentiment. Let us know what you're thinking. Please email us at aseantoday.tv@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEAN Today TV. And that's this month's feedback, Dalton.
All right, Dara, thank you very much. Hara?
Dalton and Dara, Thailand crowned a new queen. Brazil's Marcela Ohio won the title of Miss International Queen 2013, beating 25 other contestants in the annual transgender pageant in Pattaya on November 1st. The 18-year-old winner received 300,000 baht or $10,000, a sparkling crown and a big trophy. Ohio will now serve as Goodwill Ambassador for transgender people worldwide. And that's ASEAN Today for this month. I am Cara David of the Philippines GMA Network in Manila.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka of Indonesia's Metro TV in Jakarta. Thank you for watching and see you again next month.